Thank you. And thank you guys for joining us. I only have 11 slides. That's really good news. But I'm going to introduce a way of doing it. And it's really broken down into 6 steps. The first 3 steps are foundational, like it's really about your mindset and how you feel about creating an agency. The second 3 are how I actually do it. What's the invitation process? What's the conversation I have? How do I bring people around to the idea of joining me and or a team and or in this case, an agency? So I'm super excited to share that, and just maybe even today, just plant a little seed in your mind about, I think I can do this. So the first thing is I want to talk about the agency building benefits. Why even do this? I mean, in the beginning for me, I didn't even imagine taking on what I thought at that time would have been the responsibility of bringing somebody into a team and then mentoring them. What I love about the way that we've designed the idea of building an agency with Annuity.com is, yes, there is, I believe, some responsibility in bringing people on board, but the benefits far outweigh the time and energy that you need to pour in to make it successful. And when you start this, typically people come into the idea of creating an agency or a team from the perspective of the income it'll bring. It's residual income. It's the best kind of income there is, quite honestly, as Kevin mentioned. And so creating another stream of income that isn't 100% dependent on you, that continues to flow and grow with or without your direct effort. Also, it kind of shifts over time. So it goes from, maybe the reason I'm doing this is because I like the idea of creating this income, but it really starts to get replaced with the experience of impact. The impact having another stream of income has on your own personal life, and the impact you start to have on other agents who might not have otherwise had an experience like this. So at the heart of this, we can talk about all kinds of benefits, but at the heart of this, what I've seen is income might draw you into this because it just makes sense. But it's the impact that really creates the stick factor. It becomes the reason you love having an agency. So I need to move you guys. You're kind of, there we go. So let's just talk about the first 3 steps. Step 1, I want you to think about, who are they? Like, imagine having an agency, and an agency could be you and one other person. It could be you and, like Kevin said, over the course of 18 years, about 125 people that we've mentored year by year. It grew a little bit. That morphed into 86,000. That number probably seems outrageous because you might be happy with just an agency of 5. And quite honestly, that's okay. But it really starts with you starting to think about, who are they? What type of agent do you want to surround yourself with? And I think that this is vital because that's what you're going to ultimately attract. So when you start to give thought to, who are they? Describe their characteristics, their personality, consider their background and what they've accomplished or been through. Who do you want to surround yourself with is a huge benefit to actually owning an agency in the first place. So start to think about them. Define what matters most to them, what they care about, these other agents that you'd like to have in this agency. Think about their needs and their desires. How do they want to feel in their career of being an agent? And even maybe imagine a year from now, if you had locked arms with this group of people, what would people say or notice about this group of agents that you help bring them together? And the reason I like to frame this way is this framework of, it creates a culture. It creates an experience that you have of being in this team, of watching this team grow. And it actually helps attract exactly those people. And the experience I had of this was, originally I wanted to do everything and be everything for everyone. And so I was attracting people into our team that were very needy and dependent of me. And it was a hard lesson to learn. Instead, what I learned from that was, I want to attract people who are ready to stand on their own 2 feet, who even in the beginning accept responsibility for their own learning, who have a vision that they share with me about what we're going to do, about why this agent revolution even matters in the first place, that we can actually create a better experience for agents in their career, where they stick, where 3 years later, they love the process of what they're learning and what they're offering their clients as much as the success they're experiencing. So I want to start with step one and just have you start to think about, who are these people? Kevin, anything about that that you want to add? Because since we're only going through these 6 steps, I want to take a minute, since it's this nice small group, to say, what's your experience, and is there anything about this that you could add to it?
No, and you might cover this in the one of the future slides, but I believe a key component to once you identify who they are and they make the decision to join your team, they need to be here. They need to hear from you
Mhm.
early in the process.
Yeah.
Don't just
Yep.
say, oh, they're going to get a welcome email from annuity.com. Oh, they're going to get a reminder about this training from annuity.com. Oh, they're going to be able to tap into this event or that event or this event, and you leave it up to the company to take care of that. As a leader, you need to make sure that they feel connected to you early and often.
Yep. And we're definitely covering that in the how-to side of this, how to be successful at it. I think that in the day of click-through transactions, what I'm giving you is an approach that I've seen be extremely successful. And it takes it a step deeper than just click through, watch this, fill out the form. It really creates an agency that sticks. It surrounds you with the right people that you actually enjoy being around. So, all right, let's talk about step two. So, step two is create a vision. So, if you could write this down, these are some great questions to ask. Why did you decide to become an agent? And how will annuity.com support what you want to achieve? Like, what's the story around you as an agent that brought you to being an agent? And maybe even one step farther, what brought you to wanting to join the annuity.com, organization? So what was it about annuity.com that really supports the experience you want to have as an agent and the future you want to create for yourself? That little story. Sometimes even if you just write that story out in a page, then you condense it down to just a few sentences, it becomes a very powerful thing when you're starting to share this idea with other people. So the second part of that is, what is your dream or vision for the agent to join your team? What would you like to see be true for them? Would you like them to experience what it's like to have a relationship with their marketing organization where there's transparency, where they know what Full Street is? Or would you like them to shift from kind of the daily effort of being an agent to being an owner and start to think of creating an asset in their life? So what's your dream or vision for the agents who join your team? And why does this matter to you? If you and I were to sit and have a conversation about moving forward with building an agency, even if it's a small one, I would want to know these things. I'd want to know why you're an agent, why you chose annuity.com, what your dream for me would be as an agent as well, and why this matters to you. That's kind of the heart of your mission and your purpose in this work. Anything there you want to share, Kevin? No. Okay, keep going. Step three. So this is an interesting step because it might surprise you a little bit. Whenever I'm working with someone, I want to know what's holding them back. So literally list everything that's holding you back from building a team. Why wouldn't you do this? You might be so focused in personal production or so focused on getting to a certain goal or just trying to add contacts and clients and people to your database so you have more opportunities. And so you've kind of pushed this aside. But I'd like to know what's holding you back from building a team. Why not do this? List anything that you believe you might have to apologize for. Well, I'm not a leader. Or, well, I have not sold annuities myself yet. Or, I'm not an expert. And list your fears and your concerns about having an agency in the first place. Maybe it's a time thing. Maybe it's I'm not qualified. Maybe it's how can I teach something? I don't know myself. So all the fears you have about the responsibilities. I know for me in the beginning, it was that responsibility. I felt that the other person needed to succeed to be really a good leader. When the truth is, it's really about them and their vision. So the last thing, and I need to move you guys because my little Zoom thing keeps getting in the way, is list reasons why you think you should wait. I'll wait till January. What's the hold on you actually starting this, to have these conversations right now. So these 3 steps, who are they? What's the vision I have for this? And what's holding me back? Are actually going to be part of a very transparent conversation you have that brings the best, highest producing agents on board. Anything, Kevin, there? No. Okay, he keeps giving me the thumbs up. That's a good thing. So now let's get to talk about how you do this. So it really starts with an invitation. And like I say, all business, whether it's with a client or with another agent or with anyone, is about having conversations. And so the invitation that I use that has been really easy and felt natural and comfortable kind of has this framework to it. So whenever I'm inviting, whether even if it's a text, I might send a quick text and say, hey, I've been thinking about you. I promised myself I'd reach out today. I'll give you a call later. So the text preempts my phone call. So it's not like I'm calling cold. But I start with literally a list of agents, or not necessarily agents. I'm going to touch on this a little bit later, but it might be people who are looking for a meaningful career. Like a lot of the people I talk to were in careers, but looking for a way to move into something else, to ease out of that and start something new. And so this is how I start. I promised myself I'd reach out to you today, either in a text or when I first pick up the phone. Listen, we haven't talked in a while. I promised myself I'd reach out to you today. And here's a common ground. So if you don't have that common ground, if they don't know you right away, I'll say, we met at, when we dropped the kids off at school. We met at our at church. We met, it was great to see you. Let's see, in some sporting activity at the kids' soccer game, or however you know this person, make the connection is the second step. The third step is I usually say, why them? What did I notice, admire, see, or feel about them? A genuine compliment. The reason I'm reaching out is I know I've seen how dedicated you've been as an agent so far, or I've seen how you interact with people and you just have such a natural ability of serving people, or just create a compliment that's really genuine. Don't come out with one that feels weird. Just make it genuine to them. Briefly share the vision or purpose. The reason I'm calling you is I've discovered a company that's doing something new in our industry, and it's really interesting. And you can extend then the invitation to explore. So I don't know if you're open to this, but there's a couple things. We could either have a conversation about it, or I could just send you a quick invite to join our CEO, join the CEO, and on a casual Zoom that he hosts once a week. So this whole little invitation process, I promised myself, here's how we know each other, why I reached out to you. Here's what I'm exploring the idea of what people are calling the agent revolution. You could use that and extend the invitation to explore together, whether it's in a phone call or join in on the Zoom. So Kevin, in this invitation process, is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think the key is this invitation process is founded within your circle of influence, your warm market. It isn't somebody that you might meet. You've heard our conversation today. You dash out to Costco or wherever it is you might go, and you bump into somebody while you're waiting in that forever long line to pay for your groceries. This wouldn't be how you would strike up a conversation with that person. But that person that you do meet in the Costco line that you're striking up a conversation with, this type of a conversation could happen at some time in the future with that person, right? A week from now, 2 weeks from now, 2 days from now, whatever it is, this would work because they have some measure of familiarity with you, whether it's a casual meet at the grandson's soccer game, or it's you've met at a dinner at the Rotary Club or whatever it is. Those folks know you, so this kind of a conversation would happen because there's some measure of familiarity.
So an example of that might be a realtor I know who has had a successful career for 30 years. But she's also in a situation now where it's been the struggle bus for the last year, or at least the last 6 months. And she's looking to ease her way out. And she's got a great client base. So I might reach out to her in this format, this framework. Another gal I know is a mortgage broker in the same situation. Another gal I know loves teaching people about Medicare. I'm like, have you ever considered like stepping into the full realm of exploring, financial planning options for people, just even as a fun side career? So start looking, thinking about the people that you'd like to surround yourself. And honestly, it's so interesting how this list starts to form. And when I started, I think I had a total of, Kevin, was it like 18 names on my list? It wasn't huge.
Wasn't very many.
It wasn't very many. It didn't need to be because I was very intentional in these conversations. So start with an invite them either to join us on Wednesday morning, invite them to have a conversation. So what's the conversation framework? So when I sit with somebody, um, I, I usually start with thank you. Like, if nothing else, my hope or my intention or my goal with this time together is that we just start a discovery process and I learn a little bit more about the possibility of, what you want to do in the next 3 to 5 years. Um, Tell them why you specifically invited them. This is a compliment again. Here's what I know about you. I see you doing. I love how this is where you kind of just compliment them, and tell them a vision for what you hope to do together, why you feel agents are looking for change and related to their needs. And so something for me might be, if not, so let's take my realtor friend as an example. If nothing else, my hope is that we just start to explore other options that you could take your realty success and maybe pivot it to something that you'd really love doing over the next 5 to 6 years, or over the next year. What I like about you is I know you're well connected in the community and you really see the value of relationships. The vision I have is that the whole idea of assisting people in financial planning or whatever takes on a new level, that we go do it better than anybody's been done it before, or whatever you want your vision to be. Remember, that was one of the first three things. So, in the beginning, I would say, I've connected to a company that's got a kind of a new idea, and I think they're really standing for the truth of what people need and what the role that agents provide. And I'm looking to surround myself with like-minded people who want to take it to a new level, who want to do a better job serving people, who want to educate and add value to people's lives around their financial plans. So that might be the vision. Tell them what's missing, what held you back, common struggles agents are facing or people are facing. This is where you become relatable from the objections perspective. Like, I was not sure if I had enough time for this, or I'm new to this myself. So the idea of bringing people together was a little intimidating. It's okay to talk about your weak links or the part, this is a company that is starting a new idea. And so we're kind of exploring how to make being an agent and owning an agency better than anybody's ever done before. It's new. So then I like to also just kind of finish this conversation with, here's our common ground. What I know about you is, and what I know about me is, together. Like, there's a connection there. What I know about you is you're not afraid of hard work, much like me. What I know about you is you want a plan that you feel excited, that like lights you up every day, just like me. So this is where you can kind of acknowledge common ground and then just explore what's possible. So I'm going to talk about that next. That's the final part of this conversation, is exploring what's possible. So before I go into that final piece, Kevin, did you want to add anything to the conversation?
I think that the key is that it's a conversation.
Mhm.
Conversations mean that it's dialogue between two people. It
Correct.
isn't somebody who starts speaking and doesn't take a breath for 10 minutes,
It's
right?
true.
And you've overwhelmed the person with information. It's a casual, non-threatening, it doesn't feel hypey, it's not pitchy, it's just an honest to goodness dialogue where
Hmm.
you share your thoughts, you ask questions to learn their thoughts, and you move through that process together. And never in a space of using big words like incredible and unbelievable and
Yeah.
nothing like this ever before. You start embellishing the
Right.
conversation, and all of a sudden they start curling up into a shell, going, "Oh my gosh, he's going to pitch something to me," right? It
Right.
just just stay in that space of low key back and forth conversation over coffee kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that, a couple rules and tips I have around this is if they talk more, you win. So asking questions and being quiet and letting them, share their thoughts and their objections, their concerns, their hopes and dreams are a vital part of the conversation. And so, yeah, Kevin, you're absolutely right that that's what the intention is let them talk, let them see themselves in this discovery process. I always envision myself not across the table from somebody or not across the Zoom from somebody, but literally on the same side of them, looking at annuity.com as an option that might help them or not. So it's not a presentation as much as it is a discovery conversation where you're sitting side by side in a kind of an imaginary hypothetical way. So the last part is what I call the enrollment. So this isn't closing, this isn't selling. It's really an idea of enrolling them, even emotionally, in the idea. So the question I feel people ask is, can I succeed and will it be worth it? In fact, most of your agents will be asking themselves this every day, and you are probably too. Can I do this? Is it going to be worth it? So I like to explore this with them, and I ask them a few questions. So, what income would make a difference for you? Like, based on where you are right now, maybe you're a starting agent, maybe you're a seasoned agent. What income or what experience of being an agent would make a difference for you? For some of them, it's I want to create a business I own. For some of them, it's I like this idea of not have it all on my shoulders, or I'm just starting out. So what income would make a difference? And these next two are important. If you had a way to make that happen, how many hours would you be willing to invest to build towards that income? This is really good for you to know how committed they are. Is it 2 hours a week because they have a full job? Is it I'm in this full time? I need to make this happen in the next 6 weeks. A job is ending or something's changing in my life. And then how long would you be willing to work at that pace towards the goal? These three questions are extremely valuable when you're just kind of sitting in this discovery phase with somebody. And then this is what I typically let them know. Here's what I want you to know. I'm bringing talented and committed agents together. I think you might benefit from being surrounded by that momentum right now. Here's why I thought of you. These are the talents or skills or things you like about them. We're going to continue to build a culture and add like-minded agents as we grow. And if nothing else, I'm grateful that you've even been open to this. And it's a timing thing sometimes. So what would help me is to know what would help you make a decision to join us. That's a simple process of knowing where they stand and letting them start to think about what they are saying yes to. 3 steps. That we just went through are kind of the invitation, it's the conversation, and now it's this piece of enrollment. Sometimes they happen very quickly, sometimes they happen over time, and that's okay. So I think the last two, Kevin, did you want to add to that? Sorry, before? Okay. So the last couple slides are to ask yourself, what's experience you want this group of agents to have? And this is what Kevin was referring to. Would you send them a welcome message or a personal note? Nobody gets that in the mail anymore. Super powerful. Do you want to have a first steps conversation with them? Let's talk about where you are and what are the first things you can do. Maybe you just need to learn about annuities in the beginning. You can match them with a mentor. So the mentor program with annuity.com is a really awesome thing for somebody that just needs to get started. And if you don't, aren't in a place to be that mentor, that whole mentor program serves that need. Maybe you would share their story in a photo on your social media, or in a way introduce them to other agents, connect them to the annuity.com support team, and do some recognition and appreciation and praise. Just the first little things that happen for an agent in your agency get celebrated. That's an easy way to lead. These are all just small ideas, but you're going to have your own. And I just think it's an important question to ask yourself. What's the experience you want this group of agents to have? And I know Kevin's a strong believer in, have that first steps conversation. So Kevin, do you want to add anything to this before I kind of wrap up?
Yeah, I just want to touch on the recognition, appreciation, and praise. Milan, if you remember, we were in Montana several years ago doing a training for a team, and there was a gentleman there who was in his late 80s. He had successfully 40 years earlier, started a health and wellness company. He took it from being in debt, meaning he needed to cash a check from his first meeting, the first bottle of product that he sold. He had to cash that check in order to put enough gas in his car to be able to drive home. And he went from there to building a company that had, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 distributors that represented $300 million a year in sales. And I asked him at this event, I said, what was your secret? What was your secret to being so successful? And his comment was this: Kevin, I learned how to be a rapper. And you have to imagine I'm thinking rapping as in the music, right? And so I was like, yeah, I can see, his name was Don. I can see you, Don, as a rapper. And he goes, oh, serious, a rapper. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, sit back in the back of the room. That's what I'm going to talk about today. And he proceeded to talk to this group of leaders at this retreat about recognition, R, appreciation, A, praise, P. That's his idea of rapping. And his philosophy was this: every person that comes into your organization that you personally know can fit into one of those three categories. You can recognize them for, maybe it's their personal production or their team building. You can appreciate them for showing up to every opportunity there is to learn and contribute. You can praise them. There's a way to be able to pump positive energy into every person that you personally invite into your team. And as you get to know your team, there's ways of being able to do that. That kind of positive energy is, you cannot measure the momentum it helps to build within your team if you practice the process of being a rapper.
Thank you. And so I want to just talk as we close this out and maybe open up for questions if you guys are thinking like what's like, I could have planted some seeds for you to do a little bit of work around this, but why this works. So why have I seen these 6 little steps, 3 of them setting a foundation for building an agency, 3 of them how you engage, how you invite, how you have a conversation, how you kind of get down to the nits and grits of why they would join. Why it works is you have a new confident mindset around the idea of building an agency. So it's no longer a maybe someday I will, but it really is, I've got this and I see the benefit of it and I'm going to start doing this. You also enjoy having these discovery conversations. There's no need to convince. As Kevin knows, I have something I call the graceful release. If somebody's like, yeah, but, well, no, blah, 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 all the reasons, I've been burned, blah, blah, blah. Then sometimes it's good to let that be a part of the conversation to kind of let them rise up from that. But there are times also when I'm like, you know what? It doesn't sound like this is good for you right now. And that's okay. You always have the opportunity to do a graceful release. That always leaves the power in your hands to let the conversation move forward, or graceful release. You already know agents are people looking for a career opportunity. Even if the list is just 18 people, like when I started, you already know them. And it's just a matter of starting to think who they are and, kind of get yourself that list to get started. And then you get a cadence of continually attracting agents to your team. You start to notice agents that you actually want to work with, or people. Kevin will know I might work and be served by somebody in some service capacity, and I really love the service I've gotten from them. I'm like, you understand people. You understand how to take care of people. Like, what's your plan for your career? A conversation might even start with that, just somebody that, I work with that owns a business right now. So there's lots of opportunities to start noticing them, to create this cadence of having these conversations on a regular basis, and to start just building those conversations with time. And so the heart of this is that we want agents to become owners. And I love this quote because it really speaks to leadership. And that is, if your actions inspire others to dream more or to learn more, do more, become more, you already are a leader. And you might kind of have been functioning in this sole proprietor mindset or business plan. And what I love about annuity.com is we're starting to create the opportunities and the path for you to expand that, to think about the simplicity of building an agency without a building, without all those requirements, but an agency that's countrywide. And that you create a culture for people and that create a better opportunity for agents, including yourself, and the freedom to explore your life and to lift the time burden off of you as you do this over the years ahead is a powerful thing. And so we want you to become owners. We want you to have more time freedom. We want you to enjoy the impact and the income